College hoop season is just around the corner, and there are two superstars that everyone has their eyes on. But can Paige Bueckers and JuJu Watkins live up to the hype? What's up, you guys? I'm DeMita, and welcome to the Courtside Club. Paige Bueckers has already become a household name in the basketball space, and she is heading into her senior season at UConn. Just this past summer, we have seen Paige traveling the world, doing a bunch of brand deals, and a lot of media were wondering if she was really putting in as much hard work on the court as she was off the court. And she was asked about this at a recent UConn practice.
I had a pretty good summer. I enjoyed it. It was like my first healthy off season where I wasn't in a place rehabbing, staying at school, getting stronger. So I took advantage of it. Everybody saw the world tour. They didn't see the work tour, which is fine. They see like me 3-4 hours a day. Think they know my entire 24 hours, which is cool. It's fine. The work will always show. I'm a believer in that. I have confidence in that. And I can already see, like, if I don't have a game up to other people's standards, it's like, should have been in the gym all summer, should have been doing this, should have been doing that. But luckily, I don't play for their approval. I play for God. I play for my teammates, I play for my coaching staff, I play for the people who support me, good game or bad in their opinion. So all that to say, I had a great summer, yeah.
As she mentioned in this interview, her career has been riddled with quite a few injuries. In December 2021, she suffered a meniscus tear. She was out for 19 games during that season, and then really soon after recovering from that injury, she tore her ACL in August of 2022, and she was out for the entire 2022-2023 season. If you guys don't remember back to Paige's freshman season, there was so much hype around her because she had a skill set that we hadn't seen from guards in many, many years, and there was so much hype and buzz around her, and she's still an incredible player. These injuries took away a little bit of the momentum she had as far as just being in that media spotlight, because she did have to take time off. However, last season she did have a great season, and everybody was hyped to see her go up against Caitlin Clark during the Final Four. Aside from her play on the court, it was just announced a couple months ago that Paige signed an NIL deal with Unrivaled. Now, we talked about Unrivaled in our last video. It is the 3-on-3 off-season league headed by Breanna Stewart and Nafisa Collier. So Paige will become the first active NCAA athlete to have an ownership stake in a professional league. So she won't be able to play in Unrivaled until she plays in the WNBA, but she will have stake in it, and I'm sure that we will see her, if she has time, at some of these Unrivaled games. I do think it's interesting that Nafisa Collier and Breanna Stewart both went to UConn, because if you guys don't already know, the UConn Huskies stick together. It is cult-like, it is sorority-like, and I don't hate it. These girls have each other's back. Paige was also the first collegiate athlete to sign a deal with Gatorade, and she also works with brands like Nerf, Bose, Crocs, and Cash App. Paige also has a sneaker deal with Nike. So I do think it's going to be interesting to see how Nike deals with Paige's first year in the WNBA, because we also talked about this in a previous video, how they completely fumbled Caitlin Clark's first year in the league. But since Paige also has a sneaker deal with Nike, will they release a Paige Bueckers shoe during her rookie season? We will just have to wait and see. And as you can see, guys, Paige Bueckers is partnering with some of the biggest brands in sports. She sure knows how to pick them, just like you guys can pick them in Underdog Fantasy. Join the millions of fans that played on Underdog last season, and with their pick'em game, you can win money by making picks on your favorite players. And you guys, we are heading into Game 3 of the WNBA Finals, and I have a few more picks for tomorrow night's game. So with the series going back to Minnesota, I have Nafisa Collier at higher than 20.5 points. I feel like the time is now for her to really find her rhythm and help lead her team. I have Breanna Stewart as lower at 21.5. I feel like Minnesota is going to throw everything at her. I also have Sabrina Ionescu at lower than 28 points plus rebounds plus assists for this game. Two other players that I think are key to this game, I have Courtney Williams as higher than 23.5 points plus assists plus rebounds, and I have Kayla McBride as higher than 2.5 3-pointers made. I think they really need to get her going in order to win this game. Underdog is the place to play, so make sure to sign up and deposit now using my promo code RAD for up to $1,000 in bonus cash and a free pick. And a big thank you to Underdog for supporting Courtside Club. All right, you guys, and moving on to another superstar in the women's college space, we have USC sophomore JuJu Watkins. So JuJu made headlines this month when she agreed to a multi-year contract extension with Nike that will give her one of the richest shoe endorsements in women's basketball. I feel like this news made major headlines for multiple reasons. One, JuJu was getting a lot of praise, as she absolutely deserves. I do think it's amazing that these college athletes are getting these kind of lucrative deals because Nike is clearly seeing the star power behind some of these athletes. So one, she was getting a lot of praise online, but there were also a lot of people questioning as to why she wasn't seemingly getting as much backlash as Caitlin Clark got. When Caitlin Clark announced her Nike deal a couple years ago, there was a lot of people questioning why she was getting a deal. She hadn't won a national championship. She hadn't had any major accomplishments. And it was a lot of people who kind of seemed like haters. So some people in the media and on social media were wondering why JuJu wasn't getting this same backlash. I think there's a lot of reasons that come into play with this, but one, I wasn't mad at Caitlin's deal. I wasn't mad at Paige's deal, and I'm for sure not mad about JuJu's deal. I just hope that Nike uses these women to the best of their abilities and gives them the kind of shine and support that they deserve. And I do hope that Nike learned from Caitlin's first season in the WNBA how to better support their players. Now, the interesting thing about JuJu's game on the court and why people are already comparing her to Caitlin Clark is because she is one of the best scorers that we have seen in women's basketball. During her freshman season, she averaged 27.1 points, 7.3 rebounds, 3.3 assists, and 2.3 steals per game. She was a freshman doing this, and she was also second in the country in scoring to only former Iowa star Caitlin Clark, who became the NCAA Division I all-time leading scorer before being drafted to the WNBA. Now, it's already been reported that Caitlin Clark has been talking to JuJu Watkins, and she has offered any support that she needs, saying that if she needs help navigating the fame, the media, anything surrounding her basketball career, she can always reach out to Caitlin. And here's what her coach had to say about it. I'm gonna put this video in 1.5 speed.
As a coach, how do you help her navigate what will inevitably be a season with the spotlight just squarely on her?
Yeah. Well, in terms of JuJu, the basketball player, I've always felt like one of my biggest goals was to almost stay out of the way and let her step into her greatness. And when she did that her freshman year, now with it comes a ton of attention. So, our administration has reached out to Iowa quite a bit and said, okay, tell us what we need to know. Some of the things that Caitlin dealt with. I reached out to Caitlin and say, how can I help JuJu with this? I feel like it's my job to make sure that I'm using all the resources. I've tapped into my NBA people saying, okay, when you have someone, who's going to get this much attention, how do you, A, keep them safe, but B, allow them to embrace everything that's going on. So those are the resources that I've tried to use, and then it's always just keeping that relationship with her, trying to make sure she's comfortable with me to say when she needs something or when something isn't going right. But we're all looking forward to the attention and making sure that we're ready to embrace it.
What was the most valuable thing that Caitlin told you about how to help JuJu deal with the incredible pressure that we saw her deal with firsthand?
Yeah. Well, first of all, she was so gracious. She literally took my phone and said, here's my number, reach out, call me, see how I can help. But essentially she said I had that level of attention for, she said like a year and a half, and she said JuJu's gonna have it for 3 years.
As we've seen over the past few years, there has been a tremendous growth in the women's basketball game. There have been so many new eyeballs on it. And what I hope for Paige and JuJu is that the media and the fans don't put the same sort of expectations on them that we did for Caitlin Clark. Because I think that if we do that, we are setting these young women, these young superstars up for failure. Caitlin Clark and the mania surrounding her was something like we have never seen. There is something very interesting about Caitlin Clark's game. It is very similar to Steph Curry's, and like we saw Steph Curry in the mid-2010s kind of take over the NBA, revamp it, influence how young players play the game because of how he was shooting from the outside and the way he was handling the ball and his passing and all of those things. That is what is very similar to Caitlin Clark's game. And even if a player like a Paige Bueckers or like a JuJu Watkins develops into a player that ends up being better than Caitlin Clark, I don't think that we will ever see this sort of mania and this sort of boom that we witnessed with Caitlin Clark. So I don't want there to be that sort of bar being set for these two. I do hope that maybe Caitlin was that buffer, so now when this next generation comes into the league, they won't feel the kind of scrutiny, the kind of bullying, the kind of just messiness that we saw this season with her. And I think that it's really sweet of her to reach out to JuJu and say, like, anything you need, I'm here for you because the spotlight and the level of fame that is on Paige and that is on JuJu is getting there. It is getting to that Caitlin Clark level. And I think what we've seen with women's basketball, honestly, probably in the past 20 years, is women's college basketball has always been more popular even than the WNBA. And even if you look at the ratings for the women's Final Four game and you look at WNBA ratings, the women's Final Four blows everything out of the water. And Caitlin was there, Angel Reese was there, and I feel like every year we are going to see new superstars in the college game. And I think there's also this level of a built-in fan base when it comes to college athletics, and there's always this kind of craze that comes with whatever college you're supporting. And it's also so much easier to support women's basketball rather than men's basketball because a lot of guys on the men's side are one and done and then they go straight to the NBA. Whereas on the women's side, you'll get to follow a player for 4 or 5 seasons, and a lot of time they stay with one organization. So I do think it's going to be so interesting seeing how JuJu's game develops, and I love the fact that her coach said that she's just trying to take a step back and let her be her, and I feel like that is what the Iowa coach did for Caitlin. Now Paige is a different situation because UConn being the powerhouse that they are, having Gino as the coach there is a certain UConn system that you kind of have to fit into, and so they routinely have more superstar players that go to UConn. There's a certain, way that the offense is run, that the defense is run, and Paige has to definitely fit into that. And so I do wonder what her senior year is going to be like, if Gino's going to let her take over and really be that superstar that she is, or if that will come when she goes to the WNBA and maybe has a little bit more freedom on the court. But you guys let me know in the comments below, what do you think of JuJu and Paige? Do you think that they are going to live up to this hype? Which player do you think is going to shine the most? Let me know in the comments below. Of course, thumbs up this video if you guys enjoyed it, and click that little subscribe button because we upload new videos every single week. And with that, you guys, I'll see you next time. Ooh,